mentioned, checks should go out this week. So for those waiting patiently for the money to ride in, it should be here soon.
All right, thank you for that. And thank you guys for being the administrators of the grants. That's, I think, one of the best privileges as being on part of town council is giving out the money to the people who do the good work. So we have many, many well-deserving nonprofits in our community, and we absolutely could not function without them. And we're grateful for their partnership and also really thrilled about the hours of volunteering that the town of Breck did, and hopefully we'll get an even bigger number of employee hours out there this year. So thank you all. Anything else? Okay, and great job, Brooke and Brad and whoever else, Helen, Floor. I don't know who was a part of the video.
Peyton too.
And Peyton. That was great.
Space for radio, so that was really good. So
He's
I
kind.
take that as a compliment.
Good choice. All right, on to planning commission decisions. There's a very long discussion in there. Did you want to say something about that?
So just a reminder for everyone that this was the first hearing for the BGB Imperial Hotel. And so that will be coming back around. And we would just ask that you kind of watch that process through the minutes that come in your packet. And then once planning makes their final decisions, you'll have the opportunity to comment on that or bring anything up as a call up. And then on the netting for the golf course, Scott had some conversations with our folks at Recreation and out at Gold Run. And we are going to pull that public project from the agenda for today so that they can look at some additional options.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very much. A lot to read in that planning commission discussion. So hopefully everybody will get through that so that you can keep up with that conversation.
And the only thing I note with that, Billy, is there's also a good discussion about the employee mitigation issue that's kind of going along with the design of the whole project.
Yep. Great point, Steve. Okay, moving on to legislative review, on to the game and cabin lease for Summit County Telecommunications Consortium, second reading.
Mayor Owens and members of town council, before you is a second reading for the ordinance approving the game and cabin lease. It is a 3-year lease with 2 3-year additional terms, so a maximum of 9 years. One of the questions that was brought up at the first reading was about utilities, and the utilities are paid entirely by Summit County Telecommunications Consortium. So SCTC is responsible for those utilities. That was one of the answers we wanted to make sure we clarified. Otherwise, there have been no changes since first reading. This would move ahead with getting SCTC into the game and cabin again for up to 9 years.
I'm impressed you could remember that question from like over a month ago. Any other questions? All right, we're good for second reading on that. The 2024 model traffic code adoption, first reading.
Mayor and council. Per the memo that Keely put together, she and I are proposing a first reading of the 2024 model traffic code. Basically, not a lot of changes, just some legislative terminology, and hopefully that gets put in place. CDOT does a review with the AG's office. Does everything is good to go, and hopefully that'll take place before the second reading.
All right, that sounds great. Any questions?
I had a question. I think I read that there were some slight changes from last year's, and I was just curious what those changes were.
Basically, some statutes got repealed, and terminology stuff. Keely did most of that vetting.
Okay. So it's
Nothing.
what Jeffrey would call housekeeping stuff. Okay. Cool, thanks.
All right, and
That's generally what happens. And I do know that the towns of Briscoe, Silverthorne, and Dillon are also in the process of adopting the update. So it'll be in effect throughout the county.
mean, it makes sense to have a consistent code. So.
Sort of consistent. So you also, and I know Kelly read through, I think, all of them, the additions to the model traffic code. So those were all the individually called out items, like our handicap parking, and there's some things in there that where we do differ from. We have not looked at those items in quite a while. I think we've done maybe some changes to the handicap parking. We did some parking meter changes, some little things like that. But as Kelly pointed out, there's probably some really old things in there, like which way you should ride your horse on the road and things like that. Cattle drives. So we probably need to go through and not only decide whether or not some of those things are really necessary right now, but also from an equity lens, I take a look at some of those things as well and make sure that we want everything that's in there, that it's stated the way we want it, and there are no changes. I believe there will be some changes. So our plan is to do some review of those things internally, and then we will bring that back to you as a work session item, but we would like to ask that you approve what we've put before you, so that what we have as model traffic code matches what other folks are adopting and what the state is using.
Got it.
So this will be the basis and then we can update on top of that.
Yep.
Where are we, I didn't see it, but where are we with bicycles, at intersections with stop signs? Do we still let them roll through? Cause I know at one
Yep.
point we were
Stop, proceed if
Caution,
clear.
do caution, I think is it.
something to have on our agenda for the work session
Mhm.
when the time comes, just with e-bikes faster, I'm not sure how I stand on that, but it might be worth a discussion. But just to have on the agenda for that.
Okay, we'll bring that back.
All right, anything else for the assistant chief? Very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Matt, rec free ride.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The resolution before you is a requirement of the FTA for the Breck Free Ride to receive or be considered for federal grant funding and support. Initially adopted in 2009, our Title VI plan must be readopted by council every 3 years, reflecting any changes from the previous adoptions. There were no real changes from the previous adoption 3 years ago. And there's on the FTA side, and there's just very minimal changes to our service routes and some of our limited English proficiency this year for us with multilingual drivers. So beyond that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Matt? I just had, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you-
Oh, did the Social Equity Committee get a chance to review this? Is that your question?
Not. We can have them take a look at it as well.
I think we should.
Okay, this is generally written out from the FTA and their guidelines, and we can absolutely have them take a look at it and get some feedback on that.
Is there Matt, is there an urgency to get this passed, or do we have?
It just needs to be done in early 2025, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see the committee take a look at, kind of like the traffic code. We might want to have some things that are a little different for us.
How much
but-
can we change it?
I'd say very limited amounts. It's pretty well dictated what we have to do. And really all that we can do is add in what we want to do on top of that.
I wonder if we should go ahead and move it forward and then let the equity kind of explain that to the commission that, this is the baseline that we would like to move forward unless there are any real concerns. And then if there's something to add later, we can
I'm
do that.
fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And this is a pretty long document and our commissioners have a lot on their plate. So I don't know if there's a section that needs to be pulled out or just ask commissioners to look closely at a certain section. Otherwise,
Maybe we could just rely on Floor to sort of make that call if she can review it and decide what portions or?
Yeah, I can actually connect with her. I know exactly what
That'd be great.
areas they would, we would benefit from them giving us some feedback.
Wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Right, a good plan? Good plan?
Me primarily.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay. All right, well, thank you very much for moving this forward, Matt. Moving into the manager's report, public projects update.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
You
Mr.
gonna spring
Carlton
s-
was giving me evil eye. I wasn't quite sure what was going on.
Yeah.
Just looking.
Have an easy question.
You have an easy question. I'm gonna ask your question first.
Sure. I was curious with, Columbine does so much work with us and why they're a sub in, Showfields, the general on
And
the culvert project.
That's the way the proposal came in. I think Columbine is specializing in a few of the activities. They will be doing the roadway resurfacing as well as the concrete and the bridge placement. And then Schofield will be doing the utilities as well as the project management.
That makes sense.
So I think just specializing in, but we're excited to have them on the team and having another set of eyes and problem solvers to help us, because that's going to be a really complex project.
Have we worked with Showfield much?
Yeah, they did the McCain Road. We've had a relationship with them for quite some time. They do a great job.
See, I told you it's easy.
Any other questions on the Broken Lands project before we discuss the pavilion and the rec center parking lot?
I was just a little bit surprised at how much it cost. I was wondering, I think it's been explained to me that two projects sort of came together and that's why we didn't see that 11.4 million until now, quite that way.
And I did present it including the water fund CIP dollars. So when we reviewed the CIP, those were separated, but I combined them here, to really show the cost of this project and the investment in the infrastructure that we're making for
Significant.
the neighborhood. It is quite significant.
Okay. All right, ball fields, go for it.
Okay, when we presented last, and we made the selection on the structure to combine the shade and the restroom buildings together, there was some questions about the circulation we proposed. So we wanted to bring back two options for the council to discuss and decide if we would like to move forward with either one of these options. The parking lot changes we're proposing as phase 2, not as phase 1. So I won't say this decision is, vital, although it is slightly important to know which direction we would want to head so we can get the grading to match up in phase 1. So I'm hoping to walk away with an A or B, but if we need continued research on this, we're happy to do more.
And Shannon, I think through the staff report, it appears that staff has a prioritized option. And I was just wondering if you could talk through why you prefer option A over
Sure.
B and what the advantages and disadvantages are.
I would be happy to. Option A is preferred, as I stated in there, by staff and the design team. And I base that mainly on the circulation pattern. Those of us that go to the rec center often know that that eastern drive lane, one closer to the rec center, is where most of us go. Option A gives that the priority, and that's where most of the traffic will flow. It's the way it's set up on the other end too. That's the main road, right? And then the secondary road or the west aisle is the one that needs to stop and do a different movement and doesn't have the priority. So it's a little bit more intuitive and predictable. Generally, you want to have the lane that has the most traffic be the through dominant movement. So that's where most of our recommendation comes from. There's ancillary benefits also. We could possibly fit in a few more parking spaces with option A. I don't want to promise all 8 of those as drawn because we haven't gone to construction docs yet, but we can likely squeak in a few more. And then this would also give us more flexibility with the snow storage. We sort of have that flexible space where we could stack snow rather than stack it in the parking spaces like we do now. We do haul out that stacked snow quickly, but after large storm events, we do, push it all there, leave it for a couple of days before we can catch up and haul all that snow off. I think with this flexible space, we might be able to leave more of the snow there longer and sort of ease up on that quick haul route that we have to do, because we do prioritize the rec center parking lot with snow removal.
And how is that snow storage denoted or set aside? Like, how do you imagine if there won't be a tree stand? Obviously, it's snow storage.
Hmm.
How is that not going to be used as a lane or as a traffic
Mhm.
pattern? Especially if there is a little snow on the ground, the markings
Yeah.
aren't there.
We haven't quite decided. I don't know if we should do it sort of a raised mountable island. If we're gonna have to put some vertical elements in there to delineate it, that also wouldn't be in the way. So we are struggling with that design a bit. In the summer, we can stripe it out or maybe park, some rec vans there. But I'm not 100% sure what we're gonna do with it in the winter, Jay. I mean, none of these options are perfect. It's a little bit awkward, that parking lot, but I do think it will be better than the existing condition.
Good. Any other questions? It seemed really,
I understand that there's a desire to have an option selected here. With the amount of treasure that is being spent on this project, I have a difficult time and I have heartburn saying, yeah, let's go option A. It's not great, but it's the best we can do. I would love to see staff kind of go back and look at other models, other options. Go to a third party for some additional feedback of a way to have an optimal solution here that is good for the next 20 years and that we don't, one of the things that we've talked about on a consistent basis up here is trying not to redo projects. And I just feel at the moment, I understand the weaknesses with option B and expanding that area, that plaza. I'm just not convinced that option A is the best case available.
When you say a third party, would you like us to consult another design consultant?
I don't, someone that is that can come up with an option that works better for us, for the town.
Sure, we went through probably 5 or 6 with our current design team. These are the top 2. So without a full rebuild of that parking lot and the entry, I'm not sure there is another optimal option. I hear what you're saying. We don't want to spend any money that won't give us an improvement or that we'll have to do another time, but I'm not confident that we can really come up with more, keeping the driveway cut on Airport Road where it is and keeping 2 access points to the rec center. We would really have to reimagine that whole parking lot to come up with much different.
how do others feel? Todd, did you want to go?
Yeah, I think I was feeling a little bit of what you were feeling, Jay, and that, if we needed to proceed, I could get on board with option A. But as I look at all right, let's not lose parking spots, right? Like, let's have snow storage. If there's an opportunity to expand the plaza and have drop off, how does that expanded plaza space get utilized in a really thoughtful way? And I think, yeah, option A could work, but it's like, is there a better way? And I just kept, as I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know quite what the better way is, but I'd like to see a better way. So I shared Jay's yeah, wouldn't mind beating this up a little bit more to get to maybe a better result that has, yeah, let's not lose parking. Can we add it? Do we have great snow storage in a thoughtful spot? Is there drop off? And then can you expand the plaza and then how do you use that plaza space to make sure that the users of our fields are like, you know what, this spot's awesome. So, yeah.
I think the real benefit of Plan A is the drop-off zone. I think that's a tremendous deficiency in Plan B, because having had kids go to those kinds of activities, the parents are gonna pull up, drop the kids off, they're gonna run off to the baseball field while the parent finds a place to park. So to me, B is a non-starter because it doesn't have the drop-off zone. Can you do better than Plan A? I don't know. I think we're pretty well restricted with what we have there. We do gain some spaces. We get rid of that center aisle, that center, I don't know what island or whatever you want to call it,
Splitter Island.
pretty much useless. So I can go with Plan A.
You wanna go?
I don't have a lot to add. I agree. I think the drop off's critical.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably where we start, is we have to have a drop off is. I'm assuming this isn't super time urgent and if we have time to beat it up a little more, it might not be a bad.
What we could do if we're not comfortable making any changes with the design, we weren't planning on building this year. We could work off doing the grading from the existing condition
Right.
and leaving the existing condition for a while.
Do you have a?
I mean, I trust that you vetted all the different configurations, and not seeing everything you went through, and I don't think we need to see every configuration you went through. I trust that these are the top two. The drop off, I think, is key. The circulation, just for safety, is important, and that's why I lean towards A. And I mean, B is enticing with the larger plaza space, but without knowing what we'd actually use the space for. Is it just more open space that we're not maximizing? I would go with staff's recommendation, and the only additional note other than the drop off is key is it is another entrance to the rec center. So if there's anything we can do that will help delineate in the winter that snow storage area, I don't know, of a sign of some sort, welcome. And I think there's something we can put there to truly make it more of an entrance into the rec center, but I'm fine with configuration A. I don't think we need to delay this decision, and it sounds like we'd have to redo some grading if we don't make that decision.
I agree. I like the drop off. I also know that traffic flow in that parking lot is tough with some excessive speeds and other things at the entrance point, especially. So the drop off has to be there, but I am worried about what the current speed situation is around that entry point. I also have a low level concern that the reason the east side is more used is because that island is there. Like it kind of forces you, I mean, you could certainly take the west side, but that island really makes it more obvious that you should go that way. I am not a proponent of the island itself. I'm just a little worried that we could see increased west side traffic if we don't manage very clearly that flow around there. And if there's anything we can do to, well, that parking lot is full of people and you should not be going 30 miles an hour through it. Will be great.
I'm also fine with A. So I think even though we're mostly okay with A, I think just letting us have another look at how you are planning to manage that area. And if there are any other options that seem like they make sense.
Perfect.
That don't, I think everybody said that they want the drop off, they want the extra parking, and they, the snow storage should for sure not take up parking spaces, so.
I appreciate the direction. What I'm hearing and what we'll do is use the curb line in A with the drop off. We might play with the drop off a little more as our design point. We'll work a little bit more on how this feels for an entry point, what we're going to do to delineate and maybe beautify it a bit like Carol suggested. So it feels like a nice entrance. And I think that last piece could help with the speed situation, if that makes sense.
And hopefully also just with the alignment overall is having a better idea of how you're going to end up creating that space as snow storage. I
Yeah.
think might make people feel better about the alignment in that area as well.
Perfect. And I think maybe some limited land. I know we're trying to stay away from a lot of additional irrigation and that sort of thing, but maybe some landscaping, maybe some signage, something to really make it feel a bit more finished and polished. Be
Mhm.
something we're interested in, and we can take a little bit more time to design that because we're not going to construct it this year.
Jeffrey has a really big sign that he would like you to use. Could work great here.
I found a place for that. I can't remember where we were gonna
Moving on.
put it.
That's just for clarification. You talk about the importance of not losing parking spaces with snow storage. And I guess maybe I'm not there at the right times, but that south portion of the parking lot tends to be underutilized in the winter when we need snow storage versus in the summer where it is packed full with people, parking there to go
Agreed.
biking and things like that. So I guess my question is, do we need to prioritize not losing parking for snow storage because that is purely in the winter when we have ample park? As part of the criteria when looking at this.
Yeah, I don't think snow storage is the most important part of this decision. Do fill up in the winter in that parking lot. I have barely found a parking spot after dinner, maybe not at 5:30 in the morning. And it would, I think, take a little bit, give us a little more time to do those removals because we do have priority route through the rec center. But you're right, it's not dire when we use 10 spaces to store that snow. But it would give us some more flexibility to not have it on those parking spaces, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for all your
we'll
work
move
on
forward with that. Any other questions on any projects that are coming up?
I don't think so.
Welcome.
I don't know where we are in this. Mobility must be.
Hello again. Just one quick verbal update on microtransit. I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of background on how that's been going. I would say pretty good overall. I think as you may have seen it in late fall, that was presented at about a $5 million budget, which was very expansive and a very large system. Since then, the stage board and the county have kind of walked back to, we really need to focus on a pilot for the foreseeable future. So the program has been kind of wheeled back to $1.2 million. And in that, we have refocused on really 3 areas that we believe would be most benefited from the microtransit service. Of those 3 that I haven't mentioned, I believe 2 of them are probably going to be selected to fit within that $1.2 million budget, which will probably leave Breckenridge out of it for the initial pilot period. One of the big goals is that we can chase some grant funding to help operate the system and expand the service. But also the idea of the RTA, or the Regional Transit Authority, coming to fruition, being voted on in November of 26 and possibly implemented in 27. That would be a very good time and good way to begin a really large microtransit service. So just wanted to give that update, and beyond that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Matt?
I noticed that, congratulations on exceeding 1.2 million riders last year. I think that's fantastic. I noticed that we're still about 100,000 riders away from our high water point in 2019. And just curious if there's any decision points or habits or anything that you noticed that we're missing from 2019 to get us over on that ridership.
I don't know that I would say we're necessarily missing or that there's something we should do to improve the ridership. I think that was just a very big, busy year for town in general. So the people were on the buses, riding the buses. I think now we have a very well thought out service plan. We do have potential, we've considered the idea of operating the Gold Route more during the service hours that we want to as the free ride. That would simply put us over that number pretty quickly. Whereas now we allow the ski resort to run it kind of at their leisure. So We have ideas. I don't think we're doing anything wrong to miss that 100,000 mark, but we can always improve.
How's our rolling stock? How, do we have those electric buses back on the road yet or making any progress?
We do not. We are making progress, and I would say that that progress has only really begun in the last 6 days. I just got an update from their engineer at Phoenix that they're actually working through the engineering issues that have been the problem now for 8 months. They finally have somebody that they believe can possibly solve them. So we have given them all the data, all the information that they asked us to provide, and it's now in their hands again. So those 3 buses are still down. The other 2 Proterra old Phoenix buses are functioning pretty well. So our other rolling stock, we are having issues, as you noticed, with the Purple Bee. We did have to pull that bus off yesterday for part of the day, today for the whole day. We're hoping to be back up tomorrow with that one, but the cold weather kind of brings out the gremlins in these buses, breaking suspension parts with this super cold weather. So they're doing their best to both get the buses back on the road, but also with the snow sculptures, they're hauling snow and they're trying to get those trucks up and running as well. So it's a very busy time for all of us.
Yeah, I bet. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
So is there anything that you need from us to like an okay to get more buses or like, it feels like we're just operating on such a fine line and that maybe it would be helpful for us to say, go ahead and get a couple more buses or whether they're.
Yeah, I think, so we do have 2 brand new buses that are gonna be arriving in August. One of the things that might have kind of caught us slightly off guard is how long the procurement process takes, or the building process of a new bus is taking, 18 to 24 months. That kind of caught us a little bit, but you know, last summer you gave us the ability to go buy 3 buses from the town of Vale. 3 of them worked very well for the first few months. One of them just lost its motor, so it's down in Denver having a new motor put in it. So, you know, we can always take those opportunities and go find those buses. That was a very good deal that we got on those buses, so we're grateful for it. I don't know that that's necessarily something, we're just going to put more demand on our fleet service, which they're already stretched thin. So I think we're where we're at. We're probably where we need to remain until we receive these 2 new buses. And, you know, hopefully these older buses can continue on the road.
Okay.
We are also going to be meeting with Keely, which Matt has already done previous to this, to talk again about Proterra. And it's great that we had some response back from them, but this has taken far too long. And so I think we need to start whatever legal process we might need to engage in to help move this along or to put us in a better position if for whatever reason, this fix they think they have doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm sure it's frustrating for you, Matt. But I appreciate the update. It's
Yeah, and I would just say that your drivers are exceptional ambassadors to our community.
Yeah,
They are such problem solvers for the many, many visitors that are trying to get, you know, to their like brown condo that's up on the mountain and trying to help them figure out how to get there. And it's just really impressive. So pat on the back.
they don't know where it is.
No,
But
they
it's
have no
up.
idea. It's up on the mountain and it's brown.
No, Judd and Andy have hired a fantastic team this year. So we have a lot of returning staff and a lot of full-time staff that, you know, the town has invested in. So they want to be here and they do a great job.
They do.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Anything else?
I'd like to say I'm really happy to see the growth of the green route, bringing people from the farthest north reaches of our town into the town core. And I just hope that continues.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to sustainability. Staying for that?
I'm going to hang out for once.
You know, people are
Yeah.
figuring it out, actually using it.
Council, nice to see you again after the holidays. I don't have much to add to the what was in your memo, except to update you on the Building Energy Code grant that we applied for. We did receive that. And so we'll have 130,000 roughly to go towards technical assistance, stakeholder facilitation, scholarships for contractors as they do their training and continuing ed, as well as hosting a workshop series as we get into the new building energy codes in 2025. So that's really exciting. Thank you to Rick and to Phil at the building department who helped us write that grant as well. It was really important that they were participating. Additionally, I'm working with the Mountain Towns 2030 organization to prepare the announcement that the Mountain Towns will be coming back to Breckenridge in 2025. So we're really excited about that. So we're hoping to get a press release out on Thursday, if not early next week related to that. So we're working with them to make that announcement. And Matt is here to answer any geothermal questions that you might have. Any question? With that, we're happy to take questions.
Questions?
I liked seeing we're exploring geothermal next to the new parking structure.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity really all over town because of our natural gas constraints. And I should correct myself on the geothermal, right? Where Teddy reminded us we need to be calling it thermal energy networks. Because it's not your traditional geothermal that everyone thinks about generating electricity from steam in the earth. So, yeah, Matt, do you want to talk about the RFI?
I don't know if there's any questions about it.
Have you put it out yet? I don't know.
So the actual RFI was a submittal application process for us, goes to the CEO and to Excel, and they kind of work together to decide if there's communities up to 5 that they want to partner with to kind of work through a retrofitting project or new projects related to decrease the demand on the gas service.
And really, so just the CEO is the Colorado Energy Office. And we have the RFI for that project, but then we're also doing an RFP for a consultant to do the feasibility for,
Thermal energy.
and
Yep.
yeah, that.
Her name is TENS. Yes.
Yeah.
And so we haven't put out the RFP.
We have not put out our RFP yet, no. We're kind of debating the game on if, we're selected through Excel to be partners, there may be some benefit to having it then. I do think we're going to move forward with a phase 1 study as quickly as we can, but there'll be some decisions to be made there.
Gotcha.
I'm really happy to see how well the e-delivery program is working, given our winter challenges here. And they're just still moving around, and I think it's very successful.
Those guys are true logistics people. They're
Yeah.
solving problems left and right. Yeah, you probably saw the Summit Daily article. 9 News is coming up here to do a story on them on Wednesday. So more to come. They did have a couple hiccups. The carts did get stuck on occasion if the alleys weren't plowed ahead of time. And they were like, wow, that was a really big storm event over the holidays. But otherwise, yeah, they're out there doing a great job. We
Yeah,
really
kudos
appreciate
to
the work they're doing.
106.
Talking to Jason, sounds like we're gonna ramp it up a little in the next 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, there have been no final calls on that yet, but they have been telling us the whole time that as soon as they get through the holiday season, they're going to be looking to take on a couple more distributors. It's interesting when we get calls and complaints now from the community. It's like, I saw a truck on the road. And we're like, yes, this is working. People are noticing the ones that are left, right? So we have to remind them it's a pilot. We're still growing the pilot, but people are noticing for sure.
The open houses or the summits that you've had for the International Building Code and those new energy codes, have they been well attended?
So far, it's just been staff from our local jurisdictions, and Rick is here if you want to ask specific questions of that. But I think we're going to do one more as staff, and then now that we've received this grant, we have, we have to go out to RFP for the technical assistance, but that part of the grant is to receive technical assistance to help us start our stakeholder process. So we're getting to the more broad stakeholder engagement soon.
Great.
Yeah.
In the restaurant community, there's been a couple of vocal people that are curious on with the plastic pollution ordinance that being in effect for over 6 months. There's still very visible, coffee shops that or a coffee shop. Say last name Bucks or first name Star, I don't know, but, that have chosen to not observe that ordinance. And I think that, there's frustration in the fact that the small business, the really, the ones that are bootstrapping have made the financial investment to adhere to the ordinance, have even compromised their product in their minds because of products that they have to use. Yet, there's public companies in our community that can just go on operating as normal. And just curious if we've been in touch with them.
Yeah, so we have been in touch, and actually it's been since before the holidays, since the last time we've touched them. So we will certainly circle back. There's no intention to leave anybody out of this or to give exemptions. So certainly we need to follow up. Hayden's process has been to issue formal warnings in writing before issuing a penalty. He has set up the penalty process. So in the event that we issue a penalty, we do have a process in place for that now. And so we just need to circle back. And a lot of this, to be quite honest, staff does secret shop. We have a program internally with employees that like, hey, if you're at your favorite lunch spot, and you see something, please report it, because that's the best way that we can get real-time information. We do have an intern starting on January 21st who we're very hopeful can help support Hayden in that staff time to be out on the street doing these checks. But if you do see something, please just let us know, and we can be more targeted in our secret shopping, if you will.
I don't think you have to secret shop too much. You can
Yeah,
look
well,
at
you
the stacks of
Okay.
the plastic cups.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, housing update. There was a packet. Lori's coming down. They had a meeting yesterday, today.
Last month.
Canceled.
She's the only one left.
So only this month old information. That's all we have.
Yeah, we did have the packet from our December 10th meeting. I don't know if anybody had any questions or comments on the minutes from that meeting. The only thing I would add is I think that packet says that the final phase of Stables Village is 9 duplexes. It's 8 duplexes, uphill duplexes. And the lottery for that very last phase is going to be February 10th. So getting close.
It's great.
Questions?
Anything else?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for the breakdown, especially looking at the per bedroom costs with housing helps and buy downs. I mean, housing helps is at 55,000, just it's reinforcement why we want to keep investing in this program.
Yeah. As long as there are units out there available to us, at some point, it won't become as viable a program when there are no reasonably priced market rate units for us to acquire. But right now, we're still getting them. So it's great.
It's great. Thank you very much.
Thank
Lori.
you.
Okay, open space. There's minutes in the packet. Anything else? Or anything we need to discuss? Who was the winner? Who was the big winner? Let's announce them.
Catherine King.
Powers and Catherine King were the winners of Nikki LaRochelle's open space trivia. Yeah, and she said she'll do a trivia for us as well at our, yes. I took her up on it. I already arranged it, so I'm glad you're on board. Okay, anything else on that? Moving on, committee reports? Nothing? Okay. Sorry, my agenda's a little bit slow, so I'm a little bit slow. Financials. If anyone can remember all the way back to November, we are on November financials. Hi, Pam.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So as Mayor Owens mentioned in your packet, you have November financials, which comprises 11 months of 2024, and November is largely reflective of our October taxes. Overall, we're approximately 5 million above our 2024 budgeted year-to-date revenues in the excise fund, and 1.3 ahead in comparison of prior year. Sales tax is currently ahead 1.6 million in comparison with our year-to-date budgeted revenues and behind 100,000 in comparison with prior year. Accommodations tax is ahead 100,000 in comparison with budget and behind 200,000 in comparison with prior year. Real estate transfer tax is ahead 2.3 in comparison with budget and ahead in 1.2 in comparison with prior year. Overall, our net taxable sales year to date for October in comparison with 2023, it continues to trend flat. If we just look at the month of October, we did see a decline of 13% in comparison with October of 2023. This is mainly driven by a decline in short-term lodging of 12%, and the biggest one in construction of 55%. Retail in town for the month of October in comparison with 2023 was behind by 21%. However, retail out of town in comparison with last year was ahead by 30%. As I mentioned, real estate transfer tax is coming in strong. If we just look at the month of November, we did collect double in November of 2024 in comparison with 2023. So those are some strong numbers on there. And I'm happy to take any questions before I pass it on to Tracy.
Questions for Pam? Thank you very much for this.
Yeah.
Tracy?
November does seem like a horribly long time ago. So the only thing I really want to point out on the statement that you've got in front of you is that these numbers are not representative of the appropriation that got approved on December 9th. That will be published when I do the year-end financials. You'll see that recognized. The only thing in here is I would expect the benefit from investment income to come down a little bit because this is more of a timing of where we have disbursements that get recorded in November and then actually get recognized by Chandler in December. So you'll see that go down. Right now, if you've got any questions, happy to answer them, but right now really focus on year-end close. The books are pretty close, just waiting on accounts payable to really close out for the year. We do keep it open through January 31st, so we don't have to book accruals. So this is the time for town to collect all of their invoices, get them in so we can get as much expense in that should be recognized 2024 into the books. And our auditors are going to be on site starting Thursday of this week for a couple of days to start some of their initial auditing. A lot of the recs and schedules have already been prepared and submitted to them. And then they'll be back in probably second week of February to finalize out the close, because by then I anticipate having books closed by the first week of February.
I feel like they were just here. Any questions for Tracy? Thank you very much. Okay, this is an exciting one. Recommends. John, getting a little better each time.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your time this afternoon. I think last time I was here, we were sandwiched in between Race of the Santas and Uller-Fest. We highlighted Race of the Santas very successfully. I just wanted to give a shout out to Lucy and the BTO for just a really successful Uller. They've got that whole event dialed. I personally drove a float for the first time down Main Street, and even people checking us in at the start to the finish to everything. It was just a really nice time out there. So kudos to them. Separately, the Breckenridge Events Committee was tasked through some external feedback of looking at ways to increase the animation of the 4th of July. So the feedback that was received were, why aren't there more people in town after the parade? We aren't seeing the same hotel visits or the same restaurant visits. So out of that, we created a subcommittee, and Marika can talk more about that.
Have in the memo from the packet is where we are with if we want to do a major production on 4th of July, we've more or less ruled out drones for the 4th of July. and had been looking at this alternative called Spark that everyone was able to watch a video for. My first question is, does anyone have any initial thoughts based on what is in the memo? Specifically, probably the price tag to show length and presentation.
I have a question. The Sparks, thing,
Mhm.
how high, is that something you could see all over town or is it more localized?
You can see it from a good distance away. Carly, do you
Yeah,
have the?
we also have Carly McLaughlin from Breck Create here as well. So Carly, if you want to feel free to talk into the microphone. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think the intention is to have it really be in the center of town. We'd have to have the artists do a site visit and determine the exact space where they would be able to place it, but it is very immersive, large scale. So you would be able to see it across Main Street, different areas of Main Street.
Yeah, the idea, Dick, is you can walk in it or you could view it from different locations in town.
I mean, about how high in the air will it go? Do you know?
I don't have an exact height, but we can definitely find that out.
Anything else?
I mean, I'm assuming we'll withhold comment for a bit and just do questions or you.
Yeah, I mean, if there are any other questions, I think.
And we will have a more finalized present, a recommendation for you at the next meeting. This is just so people can understand what we're looking at.
Maybe it would be helpful, I think we all did watch the video, but just if you describe the experience of briefly.
Yeah, so the intention is to be a replacement of fireworks, lighting up the whole sky and center of town. But it is more contemplative. It is quiet. There aren't going to be big booms. But it's the idea behind it is a more sustainable alternative to fireworks. And so I think it really aligns with our town values and allows us to show that on a really big holiday. It has been presented in major cities around the world, but never in the United States. So this would be a US premiere. What else can I tell you? The artist is from the Netherlands.
Is there any, once the experience begins, is there any variance in the colors or the animation?
Yeah, it is. It does change with time, particularly with color.
Similar to a fireworks show where they can kind of program the lights to do different things at different times for depending on our input. So they can really localize it to something here. Like we had talked about drones that did, Breckenridge or mountain specific artistry. This can be the same thing where we can design around the local community in terms of colors, speed, height. I think they can do shapes to some degree.
I believe so, yeah.
Have we know down if this is going to be July or if we're thinking of this more for BIFA later? Like, is there a time period that we're?
I'll take it. It's could be, yeah, anyway. So the professionals on the committee who everybody loves the Spark idea. There is the professional input is it is more appropriate at BIFA. I think it is certainly appropriate at BIFA. I also am not convinced it's inappropriate for 4th of July. It's an impressive light show. We would be the first people to have it. It's certainly a longer duration than the fireworks situation. So fireworks would be one show that's roughly 12 minutes. That's very weather dependent. This is pretty weather immune. And it would be about 16 hours of showtime because we would have three show nights and then we would be able to add on a fourth like locals viewing night on the first night, like kind of a premiere opening. It also it really aligns with Dark Sky and our sustainability initiatives. So I think that's just something to keep in mind that sets this apart from other things that we might be looking at. We will come back on January 28th with kind of a recommendation that is either this on 4th of July or alternative animation, which would possibly include the St. Verlaine High School drone show on Thursday, July 3rd, which is their available day. And then some increased animation from us on the afternoon of the 4th, which could look like the concerts that we had done in the past.
All right, so at this point, questions, and then ultimately we're trying to get to, should they continue down this road of Spark and looking into this, and are we comfortable with the price tag, that kind of thing?
Is there a video? Was there a video I missed?
It was linked, but yes, so it's like bubbles that look like stars. I don't know, lit up bubbles. I don't know. For those of you who can't see my screen.
Yeah.
So what decision point are we at? Just if we want to continue to explore this?
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, if anyone's a hard no on Spark.
Yeah, they just didn't want to spend a bunch of or a bunch of time on something that's pretty expensive if everybody said no way on $300,000.
Oh, there it is.
And as a subcommittee, we're, oh, you're good.
He's also watching the Spark video.
Spark moment.
Sorry, I found it.
We are getting together in a week, so we just love the direction of, you know, council, of where you're thinking as we prepare for that meeting on the 28th.
Thank you. Does anyone want to kick it off?
Well, I think it's unique. I think it's something that will draw attention to Breckenridge as opposed to fireworks and even drone shows. Seems to me that comparing it to the price of a drone show, this is a much better make Breckenridge newsworthy event that people will be interested in saying, what the heck is this? I think I'll go up and see this. So if we're looking at getting people in town, staying in town in Breckenridge, if that's our goal, then this is it, as opposed to fireworks and drone show.
Mhm.
Never heard of it, and I'm intrigued.
Mhm. Does anyone else want to go? I really want to go. I imagine it going with like the NRO playing music. I don't know. I think it has a lot of possibilities, and hopefully, you know, backstage and the Eclipse could do so. I mean, just think it could be like a huge celebration of the arts in our community, which we haven't done before. And I think, or we have, I shouldn't say that. Breck Create and our other organizations have done lots of cool events, but we've gotten away from sort of like, what was the one that we did? Wave, thank you. For a while, and this seems to really fit, I think, our style of event. So I think we should at least let them continue looking into when it would be appropriate and kind of the next steps.
I agree. It's worth continued research. I'm with Steve. I'd lean more to 4th of July weekend, but let's learn more. I don't know that we need to make that decision yet. Yeah, it's all about keeping people here in town on the 4th. So we may need to do a concert as well. But we used to have the NRO play a concert in sync with fireworks. That was super cool. And I don't know if there's opportunity to do that here or, Kelly, your idea of, collaborating with all the arts is, and really involving all of the arts. It's a huge investment. So I would love to, give the other, partner organizations some opportunity to get a bang out of it, the NRO, the Eclipse, the backstage and kind of really, highlight the arts in the entire town.
Yeah, I agree. I think this has a lot of potential. I leave it to all the professionals to continue to vet what this could look like. It is a massive price tag, so seeing how we could, if it's significant investment that we look at potentially more than one event, long-term economies of scale to a degree. So yes, I think I'd like to see what the committee comes up with.
Does anyone else?
I would just, all I'd have to add is that, you know, when we evaluate events and when we evaluate our core events, we look at whether it draws international attention, such as our snow sculptures. We look as if it's great for our residents, such as Oktoberfest or Fourth of July Parade. We look at if it drives destination visitation, like some of our other events. And this one just seems to nail all three, where it's great for our residents, it's quality of life, it could absolutely drive destination, it could definitely provide some fantastic press. It's unique. My only suggestion when you're doing due diligence is please talk to the business community. I think when we're talking about hours of operation, when this is going to be, and because it's so long, what are the possible impacts that we can kind of vet out now to see what that may do to the business community. If it's going from 6 p.m. to midnight, what does that do to Main Street? And what possible ramifications could it have that we can look at and address now?
And we would love to have the partnership of the business and restaurant community and thinking about like if we are making this, it does to some degree need a dark sky environment. And so that would require lots of communication and conversations with businesses on Main Street. And maybe could we do candlelight dinners at restaurants? And how can we tie that eating experience in with what's going on in the center of town as well?
Anybody else?
I'm curious. I hope we don't burn the town down with candles rather than fireworks. But yeah, I'm curious I think those are all great points and yeah, like being maybe a little bit different than what other folks are doing.
And, I think due to the cost, I think it's worth exploring what time of year that it makes most sense financially. Sales tax for do we do it when on a Friday of 4th of July when I guess the overwhelming thought is that the weekend will be full and Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Or do we look at a time period where this will actually increase occupancy and move the needle, providing almost an offset through sales tax for the cost on it? And I'm open. I don't have a preference one way or the other. I just think I think you got to get them.
Yeah, to that point, I was wondering if you could look at, I know we're kind of assuming that it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but if you could look at if we did it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or something like that, that would maybe extend off of the weekend a little bit. And then I think one thing, I didn't realize that it has to be dark. So I'm curious if we, like in July, it doesn't get dark. I mean, we're a family community. People have kids that have to go home and our visitors are also family. So I'm just curious if we can't even start it until 9:30 in July, but if we did it, in September or something, that we could start it an hour earlier, that might also impact the number of people that this is the right event for. So just maybe things to consider in that group.
And it could be something, I'd have to double check on this, but that we are starting earlier and then just the experience of what you're seeing
Right.
changes as the night sky changes.
That's what I was kind of figuring, but I don't know.
Curious if we don't go Spark on July 4th, where does that leave us on the 4th?
Like,
So currently our parallel track is something like either the St. Vrain High School drone show on the Thursday the 3rd plus an afternoon concert, kind of like Old Days Toad the Wet Sprocket concert in the plaza
July
that we
4th.
did on the afternoon of the 4th. We're kicking around some other ideas too, and we're certainly open to other things, but that is the parallel track we're running right now.
I mean, we used to do like a big town barbecue out on the lawn of the Riverwalk and roll up the doors and do a concert there. And really, I mean, it was, everybody used to, when the parade was over, they just hustled up there to get their spot on the lawn for the concert. And there were beer and barbecues going and food. So it was really animated. It really did keep people here. So, which is, I think, what I'm hearing from the business community so frustrated with, is as soon as the parade's over, everybody's heading out of town and the rest of the day and night is pretty quiet,
Mhm.
you know?
All right. So it sounds like there's plenty of support to keep looking at this and timing. And what are their options there are at July 4th if it's not this. So thank you very
Yeah,
much. for
thank
your
you so
work.
much.
And we have the ADA transition update. Next steps. Nope. Yes. Everything looks the same. Oh. Hi, Danny.
Hello, Mayor and Council. So you hopefully remember a few months ago, Accessibility Consulting Partners was here and presented you with the town's self-evaluation and transition plan for ADA compliance. Today, I am back to give you more details about staff's plans to implement that transition plan in 2025, as well as our efforts to maintain compliance moving forward. With Title II of the ADA, there's 5 areas that we look at or focus on as far as compliance. So that's how I'm gonna go through it today. There is the facilities, the public rights of way, policies and procedures, website and digital technology, and staff knowledge. So in facilities, we're starting with some lower cost improvements that will have big impacts for our disabled community. These are smaller fixes that we can address right away and make our most visited facilities more accessible. For public right-of-way, we are combining the priorities from our transition plan with the asphalt evaluation mapping tool. In this way, we can tackle accessibility issues alongside other planned work for an efficient and cost-effective strategy. In policies and procedures, this year we are addressing all of the policies. We've already completed 3 key administrative documents. These guide our efforts to stay compliant with the ADA, and they are available on the website for public access. In the first half of 2025, digital accessibility is going to be our major focus. We'll be dedicating significant time and resources to ensure that our websites and digital technology meet ADA standards, as well as the requirements of House Bill 21-1110. We're posting quarterly updates on our progress to the main TOB website. We are working closely with the Rocky Mountain ADA Center to provide ADA training for our staff. We have set up an ADA champions group internally and created an internet page with resources for staff to stay informed and engaged on ADA best practices. So looking ahead, we will continue to keep council updated on our progress and ongoing plans. To support all of this work, we have allocated $300,000 in the CIP over each of the next 10 years, specifically for ADA access improvements. So at this time, I'll take any of your questions about the memo. Any packet. Questions? No, sounds great. Sounds like a good plan. Thank you very much.
This is a lot for 300,000, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the magnitude of the project over the years just seems so big, it might not, but when you really think about all the buildings we have and all of these things, I'm really impressed. And when you do the trainings, if we record them, I mean, I would love to make them available to council, because I think we could all benefit from some of that training as well.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. The plan is to have an in-person trainer from the Rocky Mountain ADA Center. We'll do it here in Chambers so that we can record it and post it on our intranet. So I'll be sure to include council in those invitations.
Oh,
Thank you.
nice job. I'm impressed.
I think it's really thoughtful to grab that low hanging fruit, and your plan as you go through it really does that. It maximizes the initial impact
Mhm.
by just getting those things that you can do right away, right now, while we fit in the more expensive and harder to accomplish goals. So great work in sorting it out that way.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge Shannon Smith and Matt Pellant have taken a huge role in creating this plan as well.
Thank you, Matt. I don't know. All right, anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Floor, the Social Equity Advisory Commission Year in Review.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Sorry, I'm a little shorter, so I'm always like, not sure on that. Hi, guys. So, thank you for having me here today. I just wanted to, thank you, give you an update on just been working on at our commission. I know that you've gotten some updates here and there, and I've come and talked to you about it and asked you for things as well. So, but I kind of wanted to align it back to our blueprint, which is what we built to kind of guide us on the things that you wanted us to do. So we want to make sure that we give you an update and make sure that we are following the goals and that we're still on the same page and that we're doing the right thing. So let me get started. So I did, you have in your packet the goals that you were established per the equity blueprint. And I did want to highlight that goal number 3, community outreach and engagement, is a unique goal because it's actually embedded within all the other ones. It's kind of part of a lot of the work that we do. So I didn't give it a specific section because it's everything. It's kind of embedded in there and sprinkled in throughout. So yeah. And you also have this on your packet, but that's the goal that we established. And those are some of the tactics that we were able to do in 2024. So for celebrating diversity initiatives, these are some of the highlights that we did. Hispanic heritage was huge, as you've heard. But the thing that was most impactful there was just the family or the community engagement that came with that. In the CMC culinary classes, some of those people really wanted and really needed, because they were having other life things happening. They really appreciated a space where they can come learn and experience and eat new food and just enjoy being with other people. And so I think a lot of the people that joined, there was someone whose family were going through a cancer situation, and someone had lost a family member and another person didn't have a physical place to live. So it was just like community members that needed that space, and they were so grateful that we could be that for them. And they got to try new food. And then just the whole learning experience, even for Spanish speakers or Hispanics that you would think, they would already know a lot of the food. We didn't. We know there's 21 Hispanic countries. So it was so cool, even for myself, to learn all the different things that every single country has, and reminder of all the delicious food that our Hispanic culture has. Another one that was very impactful was a Neurodiversity Awareness Month with our social media posts. Thank you to Brooke, who did a lot of work on that. But it was so impactful because there was a quiz where people could take, and they could even put themselves and learn where do they fall in, and the things that sometimes we think of with people who fall under the neurodiversity. And it was really cool to learn a lot of the things in the social cues and just that information that sometimes we don't think of or we don't consider because we might not identify with that group or we might not be in that group or have knowledge of that group. So it was really nice. And then our ribbons. And then also our Indigenous land use discussion was huge because it was a great way for us to actually open our eyes to maybe a area of growth or somewhere or an area that we could be working on a little bit harder. And a lot of the attendees were people were our outdoor space and trails people. They were also our Black history people. So it was a community, like different areas together. And how can we start thinking about things that we could potentially work in the future? So yeah, those were some of the initiatives there. The next goal would be community influence in education. So we were able to revamp the equity lens tool. We gave it a little bit of a different look. And we also wanted to simplify it. We got some community feedback that the words equity and inclusivity can be hard. And it's just to understand what we mean. And so we ensure we included at least the definitions or quick definitions of what we think that is, and made it a little bit easier on the eye to read as well. And then we've been doing a lot of those presentations with organizations. I think in 2024, we did it for 2 organizations. We did it for Town Council, we did it for SLT, BOSAC, and now we have a lot of them scheduled for 2025. So I have one on Thursday, and then we're getting a lot of requests, which is a great thing. I know for the one that I'm doing in February with the school district YAC group, which is like, I forget their acronyms, but they're related to equity. And they are trying to build their own equity lens tool. And they were super grateful to hear that the town and that the commission are just offering these resources. They were surprised. They asked me, how much is it going to be? And what do we need to do to get this going? And I said, no, it's something we offer. And they were super grateful and happy that we were going to be there. So yeah.
Cool.
Immigration's rights and advocacy. I think I love all of my subcommittees, but this one did so much work in 2024, and work that was very impactful and guided by the people that actually are the ones being impacted. And we have a really good partnership with Mountain Dreamers, which might be why we really were able to hit all the things that our community members were the ones who said that's what we need. So there was a community group meeting with Mountain Dreamers at not really, towards the beginning of the year, where they said we need access to recreation, we need increased communication, increased education, and let's build trust. We need that because that's not currently happening. And so the subcommittee took that, and that's exactly what they did. So as you can see from all the other 3 initiatives on there, it's exactly what they wanted. We took basically what they said they needed, and we found a way to make it work. And so from now, we have our first bilingual class at the rec center, which is huge. It was a great success with 14 people attended. And everyone's just so excited to let your friends know. And if you want to come experience a bilingual fitness class, that's what came out of that. In the rec center is also working on a potential swimming class as well. So like it opened to the conversation of how do we create more access for them. And then the I Am Summit videos, which have been great success. Community members are thrilled about it, and they're super excited to participate in them. And it really was perfect timing, right? To highlight the wonderful contributions that our immigrant community bring to the table, especially when sometimes that can be hard to navigate, especially to the times that we're going through right now. And just when you hear the opposite message and having the ability to be able to have a different message and say, no, we do have contributions in here, some of the things that we have. And we also had a video in 3 other languages, Zapoteco, Fulani, and French, that they're still common within our county, but often are not brought to light. So that was really cool as well. And obviously the Mexican consulate, which I'm sure you guys have heard lots about, which was huge. civic engagement. This is our smaller subcommittee, and we really focused on equipped. How can we equip others to do the same work that we're trying to do so that, we can use their resources well? And how can we ensure that, the people that are out there doing the work already, how do we help them be prepared and be able to think about equity and open initiatives, or through their work, open the way to more equity? So this is what we launched the mini grants in July, and we had 5 organizations awarded around 10,900, almost close to $11,000. And so a lot of these partners we work very closely with, and we're hoping that in 2025 we could expand that even to new organizations that maybe we don't get to work with closely, but we can start engaging with and start spreading the love. I like to say, spreading the money. And then just looking at a general, we did win an award with Mountain Dreamers, and this award, it means a lot because it wasn't just given to us by Mountain Dreamers. It's my understanding that people voted on it. So the community actually voted us for the videos that we did in partnership with Mountain Dreamers, Town of Silverthorne, Town of Frisco. But that was huge. They're listening, they're actually paying attention, and they're liking what we're doing. We also have a lot, or some of the quotes that community members are saying and are paying attention. And a lot of it is they want to be part of what we do now. They actually want to engage with us. They're happy. They're noticing the bilingual communication. Like the people are noticing. And I think we're starting to work on, if you remember on that other slide about trust, we're starting to build that, and they're starting to see that there's work being done and that we're actually listening, and that we don't just listen, but we actually take the feedback and how do we turn it into initiatives and things that could impact them as well. And looking ahead, we want to continue. I think we've just gotten started. We're getting on a roll. My position was new, so we're getting things going, and I think we want to continue what we did. A lot of that same work, a lot of that same building trust and engagement. But at the same time, how do we ensure that it's impactful? How do we make sure that it's changing lives and building access and building inclusivity throughout? And also, how do we think about just in the future, how can we expand more than what we do in a way that is still impactful, that uses our resources well, and that builds relationships and continues to work on that trust? I think a lot of the things go back to how do we build that trust, right? Because if we have that trust, then we can learn about things that either we can do better or just what guide us in that right direction as we hear from our community, because ultimately that's who we're serving. So yeah, any questions? You guys had a lot of info in there, a lot of info in the memo, but
An exciting amount of work.
Yeah,
Questions
got a
for
lot
Flor?
done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, that was a great way to sum up the last year. I think that's one of our first annual summaries of just everything that's been done this year. And I think Flor highlighted the efforts of the commission really well from the beginning. We talked about it being community driven, and I think we can see from what Flor highlighted, it truly is community driven, and it's not a topical effort. We truly want to impact our community. Our role as government, we want to serve our community, and these efforts are helping us serve our community better. So again, great job, Flor. And also another thing, I think, I'm sure you all saw the theme of just collaboration throughout this. We're working with a lot of organizations, we're working with community members. So, I mean, great job, Flor, Brooke, the internal team, Lynette, everyone. I mean, I think we've done a great job, and we're identifying places to continue to better serve our community.
Well put, Carl. Thank you very much for all the work that you've done.
Great job.
All right, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break.
Okay.
Well put. Thank you. Yeah, a long 5-minute break. I think we better get started. We are moving on to the exterior lighting program update and code modifications. Julia and Ellie.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Before you is the exterior lighting program update and some proposed amendments to the lighting code focused specifically on the enforcement and penalties section and an exemption for emergency lighting. For some background, in 2007, the existing exterior lighting code was adopted with a July 1st, 2025 compliance date, which is approaching in the next couple of months. So staff has started efforts to track, raise awareness, and work with the community ahead of this upcoming implementation. And some preliminary compliance statistics. Staff surveyed 2,524 properties and found 837 of those to be in compliance and 1,687 to not be in compliance. And then we sent out letters to those properties that were not in compliance. Since then, we've had 226 properties who've received letters reach out to us. And we've done 54 site visits around town. 11 properties have let us know that they are now compliant, and 3 of those have said that they actually like their compliant lights better, which is exciting to hear. And of the 277 properties that we've had contact with, 3% have been supportive of the Dark Sky Initiative. 13% have expressed displeasure or opposition, and then 84% have been just looking for additional information. Additionally, the Town Streets and Park Division has made progress on replacing our streetlights around town with a full list in the memo. And you may have noticed the difference on Ski Hill Road as staff has been told. It now looks noticeably darker from the other side of the valley, which is very exciting to hear.
That's great.
And then the town is also pursuing a dark sky community certification. We submitted that application back in July and received initial comments from Dark Sky International. And most of the proposed code changes before you tonight are to address the feedback we received from them. To move on to public outreach and engagement, staff has developed a robust public outreach and engagement plan that will be finalized for the council at the January 28th meeting, where our marketing division will be presenting a very detailed plan to you. And then in the meantime, we have assembled a good amount of resources and a frequently asked questions list on our exterior lighting webpage, which can be accessed via breckdarksky.com. And that also includes a Spanish translation of the letter, and we plan to have the rest of the documents translated shortly. We also created a dedicated lighting email and phone line, which is where a lot of those properties have been reaching out to us with. And then there have been some concerns that have been raised about the lack of advance notice about the July 1st implementation date, despite the code having been in place for 17 years. And staff does acknowledge that the town could have given more notice by sending out additional letters in the prior years. So staff is recommending that the enforcement of the proposed fine structure be extended via a 6-month grace period. So no fines would be issued until January 2nd, 2026, which would allow property owners additional time to retrofit or replace their fixtures to meet the code requirements without changing the July 1st, 2025 implementation date. Additionally, the initial letters that we sent out were mailed in batches during November and December to every non-compliant property in the survey. We plan to complete another survey of compliance in April and send out a second round of notice letters to any properties that are still non-compliant that we also have not heard from. And then we will have a new intern in the summer that will help us send out an additional round of notice letters to non-compliant properties in July. And the future letters will include information on the fine schedule and the 6-month grace period if implemented. Looking at the code changes that are proposed tonight, there are four main changes. The first is adding an exemption for emergency lighting required by building code for emergency egress in the event of a power failure. That's something that's required by building code, and we did check with Dark Sky International to make sure that that would be an acceptable exemption to them. The second change is to remove the exterior lighting section from the Ridgeline and Hillside Development section, which was something that was supposed to be included in the previous round of code changes, but got missed. And as part of that, we will be adding lights in or attached to trees to the prohibited lighting section. And then these changes also propose to replace the existing enforcement section, which currently requires a summons in the instance of a violation, with a similar fine schedule to our sign code. And then we are also adding some clarifying language to fix continuity issues and adjust wording as recommended by Dark Sky. Staff is available to answer any questions and also has a couple questions for the council.
One thing I'll add just to Ellie's presentation, because you won't see it until the next meeting, is that communication plan extends through or will extend through the date the code becomes effective. So when Ellie's talking about, sending letters and things, that education program and information will continue through that time period. So you won't see folks getting we do communication, say in March, and then people see nothing else. And then all of a sudden they get a letter. I think what they're planning, you'll see is something that's going to extend out beyond that time period.
I just wanted to point out too, with the numbers on the non-compliant properties, is that some of these non-compliant properties, these were taken, this assessment was taken from the right of way. So, some may be like bulbs hanging down below where they should. They might be really minor, or they could potentially be something that, may be incorrect. We've had some property owners be like, call us and say, hey, I think actually I am in compliance, and have us go out there, and they are in compliance once we get up close. And so these numbers, is just an assessment from the right of way. So I just wanted to kind of note that may be a little bit of a
It's not
high, incorrect number, but the best number we could do from the right of way. And some of them are easy fixes. A lot of the fixtures have, and what we would encourage people to do first would be to retrofit the fixtures. And we have examples on our website, on that breckdarksky.com website, on how to do that. And there's some easy solutions that way. And that's how we would encourage people to do that first. Replacement would be, the second option, I think, in our minds. And then we do have other things, like a recycling program that we'll have an option with, and we'll have that date coming up for that recycling day. And then they can always take them to the Summit County landfill as well. So.
All right, thank you. Questions?
Are they going to be hosting any meetings for the public for this?
Absolutely. We are going to do monthly meetings for the public. And our first one is going to be in about 2 weeks. It's going to be Monday, January 27th at the rec center at noon. And our communications team here is going to help us get the word out on that. So more to come on that on our social channels and everything. So we will also be putting that on the town website, obviously, but we'll be have staff available to answer questions and hope to have a good turnout on that. Thanks, Jay.
It seems like a lot of the questions are coming from, well, I mean, there's a lot of questions coming from the public, but also the property managers seem to be like as confused and sort of jumping to conclusions about needing electricians and different things. So I'm just wondering, is there an opportunity for us to like really go into some of the property management companies and show them what we're doing? Would that work?
We have done some outreach with the property management companies. I received a contact list for property management companies from Hayden because he's been working with them for the URO compliance. So I had sent out an initial email to them several months ago, giving them kind of a heads up of like, hey, this is coming, like here's some information. We didn't have a lot of people respond to that email, but over time we have talked to quite a few property management companies and sent them information.
Okay.
And I will say it's like, as much as we can, we tried to make contact with them, and I think they are kind of at least somewhat aware of what we're doing, and it is helpful to contact them because they manage multiple properties. So by getting in touch with them and making sure that they're aware, we're covering a lot more ground than we would with individual property owners.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And perhaps, I think, to your point, we could possibly also just send them an additional letter, like targeted letter to outreach or some phone calls.
Yeah, even, I mean, obviously you would point them towards, but I feel like the retrofitting is the biggest question is like, how do we do that? Can we buy that piece from Amazon, which you can't? And so I just feel like making that information as accessible as possible would really be helpful. But I mean, they have to read it, so.
Thank you.
And with the communications plan, is that something you're developing while keeping in mind to use for future code changes, future town initiatives, or is it really targeted to this one outreach effort?
The communication plan is targeted really toward the entire community. And it's also going to be targeted toward the property owners that got these letters as well.
I think, to your point, and Helen could speak to it too, but I do think they'll be able to say this plan could work, and then you could adapt it for another initiative, and we'll probably have a pretty good idea of the things that work and don't work. So, you know, they can be fine tuned and switched out.
So anyway, yes, at the next council meeting, you'll see a built out marketing and communications plan for this. And we're following a model that we'd like to use in the future for all of our bigger community initiatives, particularly these ones that we feel might hit some resistance somewhere along the way. You know, the happy campaigns are easier to put together. The ones that have more difficult or more complicated messages require these more complicated plans. So we do have, we'll have that ready for you, or at least a draft ready for you at the next meeting. And yes, it's a template that we'll be able to follow, Carol.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, are we ready to discuss the questions that they have? They want to know if we support the 6-month grace period for enforcement, which would put enforcement beginning in January 2026. They also want to know if we support the proposed code changes, knowing that we'll actually see the informational and educational package next time. And then I guess also just that, I don't know. That's it for that, I guess. And then if we have any other comments. So, we ready to talk about this? Marika, do you want to start? And 1 and 2 is the 6-month grace period, and if you support the proposed code changes?
Yes, I support the grace period. I believe I support the code changes, but I'm hesitant to fully support them until we see all of the language around them. And then my only other comment is, I know it's really easy for us to chuckle that we've had 17 years to plan for this. But those properties have changed hands a lot. And like, I think we just need to make sure we're really taking into account that this is new for a lot of property owners. And this could just be a time where we plan so far in advance that it's, you know, we really have to come around again and remind people. So that's my comment.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. Jay?
Yeah, I think I would love to see this renamed as a 6-month educational period, where we really use that time, to have inspirational communications, to, win hearts and minds. We understand, like Marika said, that this is a financial cost and a time cost for our residents, our part-time residents. And that, to be aware of that and to really try to just put on display that this is a arm in arm, like the town, the residents, the part-time residents are arm in arm, all doing, rowing in the same direction for this community good. And that with all of us working in the same direction, with the town working diligently with the lights and with our homeowners doing their part, that we're going to be able to create a better community for our residents, for our children, for our visitors. And I think that that's important to really build that inspiration. And, having met with a property management company just yesterday, there is a desire to understand, to answer some questions, to be able to have that one-on-one talk. And I think that that outreach has been proven to be very effective, and that we should continue that and continue to be ambassadors for this initiative, and that it is there is a cost to it, and to recognize that, but also really put on display what the community benefit is.
I agree with what's been said. And I'm glad that it'll be a lesson learned for our communications outreach, and we can continue to refine those strategies.
Well, honestly, I'm not in favor of the 6-month grace period, because I think at the end of the 6-month grace period, half of these people will be asking for another grace period as they engage. I know from my subdivision, this has been presented every year, twice a year, since before the 2-year extension. There shouldn't be any surprises about this, honestly. I won't, we had our conversation and Jay brought up whether certain coffee shops will abide by our plastics rules. Sometimes you just have to engage enforcement to get compliance. And I want to be nice about this, because I really support the Dark Sky Initiative. That's what this is about in the long run. And I think we just need to be careful, and we need to say, this is it. On this date coming up, we will enforce this ordinance. And without doing that, we're just going to be continuously in this loop of, we're not getting anywhere, we're not getting any compliance, we're not gaining. We need to be careful about that. We took our little walk downtown looking at how we're going to improve the river walkway, and we looked at all the junk and all the trash and all these things that we could fix if we wanted to, but it does require the stick, not just the carrot sometimes. So I support, I guess, answering the question specifically. I don't support the 6-month grace period, but I'm not going to vote against it. And I fear we'll be back in the same place January 2nd doing the same thing. Do I support the proposed code changes? Yes. And my additional comments are, this is going to be great. It's not as big a deal as people think it is. And hopefully the outreach that I know the planning department is doing is gonna show people that it's not that big a deal to retrofit your lights. It's not that, doesn't require, I had a resident come to me and say, it's gonna cost me $4,000 to have an electrician come and replace all my lights. No, you don't have to do that. And so education is gonna be big during this next 6 months. Those are my comments.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'm supportive of the 6-month grace period. I kind of like Jay's approach and Carol's thoughts there on, yeah, more of a carrot than a stick guy tonight. Yeah, support the proposed code changes. And I want to say kudos on I love the approach and the detail with which, this whole process, you know, that you've gone through here and having the intern to go through and have all this detail. And to me, that's kind of the home run on this is I think there are other opportunities with other projects that we'll be looking at down the road to kind of take the model with which, you know, I got a letter, I've got a non-compliant light. And, you know, you went through all this detail, you've got great data, great results. You're chipping away at what folks are making improvements. And I think we can use that model on other projects and it'll just make the town better. So nice work.
Thanks.
I support the 6-month grace, and yeah, I'm not gonna add more to it, but I like Jay's comments and Todd's comments and, you know, let's take the opportunity for a lot of education. Not that it hadn't been done already, but you know, there is property turnover and everything else. So, and people sometimes have their head in the sand because they don't wanna, you know, so, and yes, I support the code changes for sure. Yeah, and no other comments really. I mean, you guys have done a ton of work and communications have been I feel better. I'm in the majority. The communications have been good, respectful and yeah, appropriate. So I think it's been a nice job, but you know, let's just stay on the up and up and keep it positive. So.
I support the 6-month grace period, but I do agree with everything Steve said. Just gonna put that out there. And I, of course, also support the code changes. So looking forward to seeing the education package. Thank you very much.
Well,
All right, next up, we have Big Sky Employee Housing Unit. Development Agreement, work session.
It's a long title.
Need I say more? Miss Jenny Wright.
Okay.
Gulick.
Alrighty. Before you is the Big Sky Employee Housing Unit Development Agreement Work Session. Jenny Wright, the buyer of Big Sky Condo Unit 2, which is located at 160 East Adams Avenue, has applied for a development agreement to convert the unit from commercial use to employee housing. For some background, when it was originally constructed, the Big Sky condo building was subject to the Adams Ridge Master Plan, which allowed a 1-to-1 floor area regardless of use. That master plan has since expired and the building is now governed by the Land Use Guidelines and Development Code. A similar development agreement proposal was submitted and approved in 2022 with Big Sky Unit GA. And then another development agreement was also submitted and approved last year to convert a unit in the Copper Baron condo building, as you may remember. And the Copper Baron development agreement included the same terms as the Big Sky agreement with the addition of a 110% area median income rental restriction. To look at the density, the proposed conversion would increase the building's density on over the allowed 726 square feet by 2,175 square feet, Of that, 359 square feet is existing residential from the previous conversion. And the remaining 1,816 square feet of additional density would need to be transferred to the site using transferable development rights. Because the property is located in the historic district, density transfers are prohibited. So a development agreement is necessary. There is no increase in the parking requirement for the property. And then to look at the proposal itself, the town would agree to exempt the property from compliance with Development Code Section 911712, which prohibits density transfers into the historic district, and agree to transfer 1,816 square feet or 1.5 SFEs of density to the property, and waive the development agreement and Class B minor application fees. In exchange, the applicant proposes to record a restrictive covenant that would restrict the unit to employee housing with a 110% AMI rental restriction. And the applicant has agreed that the rental restriction will include the monthly HOA fees, which also includes utility costs. Staff supports the proposed terms of the development agreement and is available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ellie. Chris, anything to add or?
I don't. I'm here for I guess historical context if we have any questions related to the other two recent development agreements.
I like that. Ms. Wright, anything to add? You don't have to if you don't have anything. We can
I'm
just ask
already nervous
questions.
enough.
I know.
Excited and, I could talk and end about this. So if you do have questions, I know I have an answer that aligns with how you feel about things. So shoot.
Wonderful. All right. Yeah, Todd?
Yeah, I might have missed it. Is it, how many bedrooms is it gonna be? Is the proposal?
Like flexible, I don't know. I think the space could maybe go up to 4. Like, I think 5 would be kind of unreasonable. I think 3 might be more comfortable. I think it would take me a little bit of time to get to even beyond 2, just financially. But, as things progress, I'm like hoping to do great things with the space.
Yeah, I'm just asking because the cost of the density transfer, if say it's 450, just to make the math simple, and then it's 3 bedrooms, well, then that's for the town, that's a benefit of, it's 150 grand a bedroom for deed restricted. So I think for me personally, that 3 to 4 bedrooms is a nice sweet spot on the kind of the benefit of, and obviously the benefit of having residents in town. So thanks for answering that.
Yeah, and I would love to go higher. But just being in there, I think, yeah, like 4, I could definitely agree to that as that would be the end goal.
Cool.
I think 5 would be, I don't know if it could sustain that.
Fair enough.
I think from a staff level, we like the space because it is a rather large space and see the potential that it could have more bedrooms. And so even if now like the budget is limited to have less in the future, it's the kind of locked in place that this will always be deed restricted housing. So even if at 1,800 square foot was split into 2 900 square foot units, we still think that's actually even an added benefit down the road.
Is there parking under that building?
There's an outdoor parking lot that Mark has 4 passes to that come with the sale. It is actually one of my concerns.
The outdoor lot is shared between the entire Adams Ridge development with the parking divided among the buildings. And then there's also an indoor parking garage, which those spaces are deeded to specific owners within the development. But there should be parking in the outdoor lot for this
Okay,
building.
but there's no parking deeded to this.
No, not at this time.
Any other questions?
Follow up on the parking. Is there overnight parking in the outdoor lot permitted?
It's a snow removal issue. So assuming snow doesn't come in, it's not an issue to park there overnight. When there is snow, it is an issue. So that is a concern for me. wondering if there are options in any of the other, you know, parking residents downtown, and what do they do for parking, and is that an option for me?
And how many bathrooms are in that space?
Currently, you know, it's commercial, so it has a kitchenette with a toilet, a separate like half bathroom. The first thing I want to do is off of the plumbing, off of that bathroom, add like a shower in one of the office spaces so that technically that would be all 3 pieces of a bathroom. And then in the upstairs, my second project would be to convert one of the rooms into a bathroom. But there's so much plumbing throughout the space, and since Mark built it, he can just walk through it and just point out where all the plumbing is. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to, you know, to bring in bathrooms, bring in a bigger kitchen, bring in a kitchenette. There's actually a kitchenette there's 2 kitchenettes, something that would be similar to like in the Wellington neighborhood in a carriage house, a kitchen with a sink, a fridge. And then downstairs, there's a 3/4 fridge and a sink. So there's like already 2 kitchenettes in there.
Have you guys run this by Rick? Will this pass building?
We haven't had specific discussions with the building department about it yet. They would have to go through building review, following the approval of the change of use application. But we do have, like the plans for the space, a kind of, Jenny has provided a rough idea of what the space will be, and there has been an additional conversion already done in this building from commercial space to residential space. So we do believe it should be possible.
Are you talking about like feasibility of plumbing and that sort of thing?
Well, there's just different regulations when it comes from commercial to residential, and whether it has to be sprinkled or, you know, how thick the drywall is, what the fire gap is. Things of that I'm not familiar with. That I was just curious if Rick would do a courtesy review just to see the viability of it.
Yeah, we can definitely reach out to him and have him do an initial review.
Okay. All right, the questions for council are, does the council support allowing a density transfer into the historic districts, which would not result in any newly constructed floor area? Support the terms of the development agreement.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm supportive. I like the idea of getting more employees in town living there. I like, yeah, especially if it's maybe 2 units, 4 bedrooms. I think that's really thoughtful. And considering, you know, precedent, I think we're on the right track.
I agree, win-win. Town's getting housing units downtown. Hopefully we get people who don't need a lot of parking that may fill those spots. My encouragement would be, as Todd has suggested, you know, design this for a 2-2 setup. And even though you maybe aren't funding the full completion of that right now, you've got the plans to do it and you build it out as you can. So good job, and I support it.
Yes, and yes, and I'm also supportive.
Yes, this is a great project. Thank you.
I'm supportive. I'm concerned. I think if we do have, let's say, 4 bedrooms, possibility of 8 vehicles, where do those go? We actually just heard from our communications with council of parking going up on High Street that's not permitted or whatever it is. And so I would try to come with a solution to that and work with community development, as well as have a sit down with building department, make sure you know what you're in for, and that you're not purchasing this with the idea that this is going to cost X amount and it's 10X. But as far as the density transfer in the terms of the development agreement, I'm in favor.
Yep, I think it's a great project. I have, you know, some similar concerns about parking, but I think it's a great idea.
Well, I support as well, and we look forward to having more workforce housing in the core of town. So thank you for bringing us this project, and best of luck to you. Thank you guys for all the homework that you did. You know, having been through a similar one before, I think, well, two now, made this easier, but appreciate all that background that you provided in the memo that made this a lot more straightforward.
And yeah, I wanted to thank Ellie and Darcy, and just, it has felt very supported from the town, and yeah, just everyone that's been involved, even Mark and John Swartz and everyone. And I think it's going to be really awesome. I would love to invite you guys in there to even see it now and see it in the future. It's like a banana spot. It doesn't feel like Breckenridge. It feels like a loft in New York City or something, has funky angles. And I am taking on like a tremendous amount of risk. I P-locked my house, liquidated my retirement account, and there are concerns like parking, and I'm going to be working so hard to bring this into feasibility. So if there's anything else that you can help with, because I know you're putting in this huge value, which is amazing, and thank you. But any other ways you can support me, I'll take it. Whether that's like through parking, which is a concern, or anything else.
All right.
But I miss when everyone used to work and live downtown, and I miss the pedestrian lifestyle that this town really should be. I mean, it's built for it, but nobody lives here anymore.
Thanks for your work on it, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we took the last thing off of our agenda for today. Are we doing anything about that? Are we saying anything about that now?
No, we'll
Okay.
update the night agenda for the
Great.
public hearing.
Okay, perfect. So we are going into the executive session,
We have Keely here to
which
help us.
I will,
Yeah.
oh, good, Keely, help us.
I'm here. Sorry I'm not there in person, but I have the sickness that's going around. If I can get a motion under 24-6-4024B to receive legal advice on matters related to litigation, and E, to discuss negotiations related to the application of a development fee for certain parcels of real property subject to a development agreement between the town and Gondola Properties LLC.
Moved.
Second.
Do I need to call out roll call? Should I do roll?
Yeah. Yeah, please.
All right, Council Member Gerard,
Yes.
Council Member Sade,
Yes.
Council Member Rankin,
Yes.
Council Member Page. Yes. Council Member Beckerman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Carlton,
Yes.
Mayor Owens, yes.
Okay, and for tonight, since Keely is remote, we'll be moving into the lower level conference room for the exec session.
And before Helen, you click anything, we will not make any decisions in executive session, and we will come back into open session to close out the session when we're done. Session.
Yep.
Session. Right, we are now back in open session. We did not make any decisions in the executive session. We received counsel from our attorney. And the work session for January 14th is closed.
Nice.
Adjourned.
Well done.
Oh, all right. The time is now 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the town council regular meeting for Tuesday, January 14th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please, Helen.
Marika Page,
Here.
Dick Carlton,
Here.
Steve Gerard,
Here.
Carol Sade. Here. Jay Beckerman,
Present.
Todd Rankin,
Present.
Mayor Kelly Owens.
Here. All right, approval of the minutes, town council minutes, December 10th, 2024. Minutes stand. Approval of the agenda, Shannon.
Mayor will be removing the driving range netting public project hearing.
We look forward to hearing that another time. Communications to council. Now is the time for public comment on non-agenda items only. Please come forward and state your name for the record. Seeing none, public comment is closed. We have a Breck Tourism Office update. Lucy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is in a good place. Okay. Well, today was a great day for stomping blocks. I think most of the rec center was out there getting some exercise, which was nice. And John's not here, but stomping tomorrow too. Everything's in great shape so far for snow sculpture. Teams come in on Monday. We've got the welcome party to which council and town staff are invited. That's Monday, 5:30 at the Nordic Center. I hope you can come. And thank you, Mayor, for doing the welcoming remarks for that one. We have an interesting twist this year on the media. You know, we wrestle some years with, you know, finding what's new and interesting about the event for media. And this year we have just installed a program called IRA, which is a program for visually and hearing impaired people. And we've got it in the Welcome Center and in the museum as a test. And we thought, well, why not, you know, we have this big visual event happening out there with snow sculpture. And long story short, the senior staff from IRA, their CEO and vice president of marketing, will be here tomorrow. They have agreed to expand the footprint of how the program works. It works a little bit like Datafy, like, you know, like a point of interest. And so we'll have IRA available on the venue for the 3 weeks of snow sculpture. So, and we're putting that out to the media of like, here's a new way for more people to more fully appreciate what this event is. And I think it could be really cool. So it's a nice win for snow sculpture, for media, and for IRA, and for all the users of the product. So we're looking forward to that. We're having the demo is tomorrow in the Welcome Center at 3 o'clock with IRA. Then back to snow sculpture, we are doing reservations again just for the Saturday, and same traffic management plan as last year. Traffic committee is good with everything that we're doing. Want to thank PD. We've got some extra barriers coming in on either end of Tiger Dredge. The only other thing that is going to be a little bit different is the awards. For those of you that have been to award ceremonies in the past, you know, we're in the Riverwalk Center, and it's just kind of this big space, and, you know, we don't exactly fill it. So what Sarah and Maj came up with this year, we're going to have the event, or the competition stops at 9 o'clock on Friday, the 24th. And then we'll have like a cocktail reception for the sculptors to meet the judges and talk about what they were rating and why they were rating things and stuff like that. The artists won't know yet who won. So we'll have that reception there at the backstage. Then we'll have a procession over to the venue, and we're going to do the awards outside and then do the grand illumination. So we think that will involve a lot more people, be more intimate for the artists with the judges. And so I think that'll be a nice improvement. Sculptures come down on Wednesday, the 29th. So huge shout out to the ski resort again for the snow. It just works like clockwork with those guys, at least from my perspective. Public Works might say different, but thanks to Public Works, PD, everybody, you know, I mean, it's so many people pitch in and make this event happen. And we're just so appreciative. And I really do have to do an extra shout out to our events team, just because December and January, it's a long run of a lot of events.
And they're so stoked, they're so excited, and they're going to be so dead on the 29th. So anyway, so when you see them, pat on the back's always well appreciated. One last thing, between the back to the December events, I just want to call out Litch and the shot ski and the money that he is able to raise for Summit Rotary. We raise quite a bit with the Angels, is the Angels donation. Do you know what that is, Helen? We raise a little bit with the BTO. We tripled like what we did year over year. I think it's like donating some money for toys for kids.
Yeah.
But Litch really produces a lot of money for Rotary. So I just want to, shout out to him too for doing that. So that's all the event stuff that we have right now. I'm happy to answer any questions or anything on that. Should be good. Should be really good. The temperatures won't be fun to be out there, but it keeps the snow really good. So I think they're going to stay good until the bitter end. Then just a quick update on lodging. Looking back over the holiday, we ended up about 4% down in guest nights. Over last year, it was just 1% off of 2 years ago. We were down a little bit more than the whole Destometrics group. I got that information, so I'm using it. Length of stay has been the same for the last 3 years for the Christmas holiday. Revenue's down about 5%, which you'll see in next month's report. Overall, the winter, November through April, guest nights are looking right now down 2%. Again, Destometrics for that same winter season's down about 1.2. So we're just a little bit worse than Destometrics. ADRs for us is down 4, revenue's looking down 6. And length of stay is 0.2 nights, which doesn't mean anything, but it's about 5%. So it's a little bit of ADR. Destometrics ADR is higher, ours is lower. And that length of stay is what's kind of getting us right now. The good news is February is up a little bit and March is up significantly, and March is the most important month. So that could be enough to pull it out, by year end. So it's not much, but it is off. Then the last thing I would like to share with you all is we being CADMO, the Colorado Association of DMOs, are taking over the kind of the event with the legislators at the state. We're doing a tourism day on February 4th at the Capitol, and we'll be set up at the entrance, inside the Capitol at the entrance to their chambers, and we'll have a grab and go breakfast, and we'll be at least 16 of us, if not more, and just armed with why tourism is important, why it matters to the state, because the state is looking at that huge deficit that the speaker and Dylan were talking about when they were here in the last meeting. And I think tourism, I really hope we can encourage them to look at tourism as a solution, as a revenue solution, instead of just always focused on cuts. So that's the 4th, and hopefully that will work.
Good luck.
So, yeah, I know. See how that works. Questions, comments?
Well, we of course echo the gratitude to your team, because it's really what makes Breckenridge, and they're working hard for it for sure. Steve, I think you have something.
Lucy, I had one question. I noticed that one of the metrics that was unusual was a loss of college students.
Yeah.
That's anything in particular?
Yeah, it's a specific group. The group is called Lifestyles, and it was like upwards of, 4,000 people we would have come in early January. And it was a tour operator put the groups together, and they just got priced out of Breckenridge, and I think they're in Winter Park. I think they went to Winter Park, but that's the big nut right there. You can point to that. Yeah.
Oh, it was a monetary decision.
I think so, and I think it was a time of year, it wasn't exact, like our first week of January is still high season.
Yeah.
And that's when they were here. So it was a little bit of revenue management, I think, in the lodging side too.
It's always been mixed feelings about that group.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of cleanup after, yeah.
Is Destometrics showing a reduction in length of stay?
I did not mark that one. I have that tick and I'll let you know. I don't think so because I think I would have picked up on it.
Okay.
Because their ADRs are a little better, like they're up in ADR where we're down in ADR. And I think their length of stay might be flat or just barely up where we're.
How much
off
was
a
our
little.
length of stay down?
It's 0.2 nights, which is about 5%. You know, and that can correct in March, you know, I'm not too concerned about that yet. And I did ask Bill in his weekly roundtables, at least anecdotally, if we can find out is group business off? You know, because we don't see that data. We just get total room nights. But if group is off, that could be impacting midweek and shorter length of stays. Anything else?
Thank you so much, Lucy.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to continued business. Second reading of Council Bills Series 2024. Council Bill number 28, Series 2024, an ordinance approving a lease of the Gaiman Cabin to Summit County Telecommunications Consortium.
Good evening, Mayor Owens and Town Council. Before you is a second reading of a lease agreement with a Summit County Television Consortium, Telecommunications Consortium. And this is for the renting of the Gaiman Cabin. It is a 3-year lease with option for two 3-year terms to renew for a total of 9 years. And there have been no changes since first reading.
Thank you. Any questions for Scott? Any comments from the public on Council Bill number 28, Series 2024? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Can I have a motion?
I move to pass Council Bill number 28, Series 2024, the title of which the mayor read into the record.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Helen.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Rankin,
Yes.
Councilmember Sade,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerard,
Yes.
Councilmember Beckerman,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlton,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. All right, moving into new business. First reading of Council Bills Series 2025, Council Bill number 1, Series 2025. You want me to read the whole thing? Yes? No? Yes? Okay. A bill for an ordinance repealing and readopting with changes, Chapter 1 of Title 7 of the Breckenridge Town Code, adopting by reference the Model Traffic Code for Colorado 2024 edition, published by the Colorado Department of Transportation, amending the Model Traffic Code for Colorado 2024 edition, and providing penalties for the violations of the Model Traffic Code for Colorado 2024 edition.
Say it better myself,
Assistant
ma'am.
Chief.
So this is just the first reading of the adoption of the most updated version of the Colorado's Model Traffic Code.
Thank you. Any questions for the Assistant Chief? All right. Any comments from the public on the first reading of Council Bill number 1, Series 2025? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Can I have a motion?
I move to pass Council Bill number 1, Series 2025, the title of which the mayor reluctantly read into the record.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please, Helen.
Councilmember Beckerman,
Yes.
Councilmember Sade,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerard,
Yes.
Councilmember Rankin,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlton.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, resolutions, resolution number 1, Series 2025, a resolution approving updates to and adopting the revised Town 6 of Breckenridge Title 6 plan related to transportation planning improvements and transportation services.
Sorry, there's one extra 6 in there,
Yep.
which wasn't needed. Mayor and Council, the resolution before you this evening is a requirement of the FTA for the free ride to be considered for federal support and grant funding assistance. Initially adopted in 2009, our Title VI plan must be readopted by council every 3 years, reflecting any changes from previous adoptions. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Matt. Any questions? All right, can I have a motion?
I move that we pass Resolution Series 2025, Resolution number 1, the title of which the mayor read into the record.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Helen.
Councilmember Sade,
Yes.
Councilmember Rankin,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlton,
Yes.
Councilmember Gerard,
Yes.
Councilmember Beckerman,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Thanks, Matt. All right, moving into planning matters, planning commission decisions. Anything to comment on? Maybe? All right, we are into the report of town manager and staff.
All right, we were wondering if any of you had any feedback on the fireworks from and is, collecting feedback from various folks who were involved in the process. Oh, is my mic on? Nobody wants to hear me. So wondering if you all have any feedback on fireworks that we can provide to that group.
I've had a number of people speak very positively of it. They were happy they're back.
Great.
Same.
Same.
I haven't had any interaction whatsoever.
Negative feedback on any part of it? No. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think Lucy just mentioned I think it's IRA demo at the Welcome Center tomorrow between 3 and 4, if anybody wants to go over and see that demonstration. And then the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that we were planning to start our council meetings at 2 p.m. in 2025 because you've had so many agendas that are just so full that starting at 3 doesn't give us enough time, doesn't give you guys enough time to manage all those items and have good discussion around them. So we just wanted to make sure everyone was okay with that. And our philosophy around it will be that if we have an agenda that doesn't require that much time, then we'll push the time back to 3. But we figured it was easier for folks to plan for 2 o'clock and then maybe not have to be here so early, versus planning for 3 o'clock and then being surprised that you need to come sooner.
I appreciate that because, yeah, it was, we had some meetings in the past that you just didn't really get to have a robust discussion. So I'm happy to invest the extra hour and have ample time.
Agree. I think it's a great idea.
Great, thank you. That's all I have.
Great. All right, then we'll move into the report of mayor and council members. I'll start with MMC, the chief and actually several chiefs and the undersheriff, thank you, came to MMC and gave a really good overview of sort of their practices within our community and what the normal practices are and that they intend to continue on that track. And, the takeaway is, and what they want the community to know is that they are here to protect the people of this community from people who are not following the rules or who are breaking the law. And that is their practice now, and that will be their practice in the future. And so we're just really grateful to have them and continue working to build trust and relationships in the community. But I thought it was a really good conversation and great. We're lucky to have the chiefs that we do in this community. So that was really nice to have. That was almost the entire conversation. And then we have been getting a lot of information about CAST coming up. It starts on the 30th, but we actually are hosting a happy hour on the 29th at the Eclipse Theater. So that would be fun if everyone can come, hopefully, to just welcome people into the town. I know that it's a big commitment to come all day on the 29th, and then there's a ski day on the 30th. So if you can't come to any or parts of that, it'd still be great to have you at what you can come to, but we have to make sure Peyton knows so that they can have the right number of seats or reservations or whatever needs to happen.
So the 29th of January?
The 29th at 5:30, I believe, is the happy hour, and that's at the Eclipse. And then the 30th, it's all day. Oh, I'm sorry, the 29th Yeah, the 30th, it's all day and the 31st must be the ski day. I think I said it wrong earlier.
And the agenda for the 30th, I can't remember the woman's name offhand, but social equity had a presentation from a woman from CMC who's doing a research project on mobility, I think it was economic mobility, particularly for the Latino population.
From what I remember, yeah, and it covered really a lot of it's the CMC area, so a lot of CAS communities.
So she's now her research is done, and so she's going to come to the CAS meeting and present the results of that research, which would be really interesting. And then there's a discussion with Kelly and John and 2 representatives from Winter Park to talk about ski area relationships, municipal entities and ski areas, and then we'll have a so I'm not wrong saying presentation as well. So there's some interesting topics on the agenda that day.
And actually, that day that we're talking about geothermal, Matt Garlick, who was at Mountain Towns and who is really interesting to listen to, he is presenting at 10:30. So if you can make time for some of that stuff, I can forward the agenda around. I know that Peyton has also sent it as an attachment, but I'm happy to send it again. And I did say the wrong time. It's on Wednesday, the 29th. It's actually 5 to 6:30 at the Eclipse. I think that's all I had. Did you have anything else? Okay. All right, Breckenridge Open Space Advisory.
Hey, that's me. The minutes were in the packet. This was from December 16th. I believe that was the last one. Sophie from the Volpe Center came and did a presentation on some of, now that we have the Camp Hale Continental Divide National Monument that's recognized, that some ideas and there's been extra resources have been deployed from the federal government to help us with managing that guest population that's going to result in the national monument. They said that we had more than 17 million visitors in 2022 to the White River National Forest, with, Quandary, Spruce Creek, Crystal Lake being the main ones. Some of their goals are to reduce traffic, minimize parking impacts, coordinate across jurisdictions, things like that. And they will be at a joint OSAC-BOSAC meeting on the 27th, and they'll be at front of council on the 11th. That's pretty exciting. And then Joel did an amazing job with his trail cruise presentation. What they're doing is maintaining trails, improving user experience, expanding accessibility, and managing volunteers. And they're just knocking it out of the park. They're just doing such a great job, and can't commend them any more than I am. Yeah, that's what I got.
Great, thank you for that. We had a tourism update, but anything to add? Okay. Breck history.
A couple of things, Larry and Peter are working on maybe an updated plan for Mini Mine where it's a little bit more of like taking inventory of what's up there on the site right now. Trying to make sure that any of the existing structure that's in good shape is out of the stream flow that's there. And then also thinking about stabilizing the gable end on the hillside there. So just stay tuned for more details on that. They've also got a bunch of the projects for the next year in the works and permitting. So lots of good stuff coming with some stabilizations for 2025. And then they've had a chat about board members. So if anybody has any connections at Summit County government, looking for a good kind of liaison there for the county, just because a lot of their work is obviously town of Breck and county open space. That was kind of the meeting in a nutshell.
Interesting. It's great to hear about their continued progress on that.
Yeah.
Okay,
One
thank
step
you.
at a time.
Breck Creative Arts.
No meeting and nothing really to report.
Okay. CML Advisory Board,
Our next meeting is next Friday.
Social Equity.
We have a meeting tomorrow. The regular times for those meetings changed, so they're now on Wednesdays at 5:30. If any of you would ever like to come by.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Arts and Cultural Master Plan Steering Committee.
We had a meeting yesterday, with the arts. I don't know why that seems so long. With the arts and, with the steering committee and, have been kind of reimagining what this process of master planning looks like and, thinking about breaking up the scope of the work. Really looking to hit up, community engagement first and, having some, local folks helping, manage some of the focus groups that we've set up. So that's, it appears to be the direction of just kind of chopping up the scope that was just extremely large.
Okay. Sounds great. Anything for other matters?
I've got a couple things. Matt Bowder, he and I've been talking, I think Lucy's, been in the loop a bit too. He's been working with, some of his vendors, some of his farmers, down on the, Front Range, out, on the east side, whereas a lot of us have been working with the Western Slope for a while. And, is making some progress to potentially put together a farmer's market for this summer. And they're kind of loosely talking about, and I just want to kick it by this group and see kind of any strong thoughts, but kind of loosely considering possibly Wednesday nights, 5 to 8, really gear it to locals. And, they'd love to try to start right there in the center of town, right at the Blue River Plaza. And then as it grew and got traction, maybe come up into the Arts District and such. Again, loose discussions. They haven't come to town and everything, but I mean, I think everyone I've talked to is excited to try to get a real farmer's market here. With really selling food and less crafts and that, and really have the farmers and a lot of the farmers are co-oping with each other to take turns coming, like one farmer would load up with 3 farms worth of food and have it all in their booth, and then they take turns, so they can, we all know how hard the farmers work. So intriguing, and I don't know if anybody's got thoughts or input, but I personally am excited about it. And partnering with the Restaurant Association, the restaurants, to try to kind of backfill these guys' investment and buy up their leftovers at the end of the event. So that, again, really have it be a win-win and set up the farmers for success. So it's a collaborative effort that's kind of brewing out there. And I thought it was maybe time to bring to us and just so everybody's kind of informed that this is being worked on and see what everybody thinks. So. If anybody has input, let me know.
Yes, super supportive on that. I've had some chats with Barb and kind of around the food insecurity layer, right? And Matt talking about.
Well, he wants to work, with the rescue. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just you're on the exact right track, right? Like there's the retail side of it, there's the restaurants helping backfill, and then also, making sure that the farmers are going home with empty trucks and making sure that we figure out a layer and a way to make sure that all that food's bought and that, some of that's getting to FERC and all the other amazing organizations that are working with food insecurity.
Yeah, Cafe,
Food Rescue.
Food Rescue is one they were working with. They've got it. They're in the loop. And FERC's in the loop.
Yeah, it's a home run.
So that's a piece of it. So.
Yeah, I think, extremely supportive, I think, from all the reasons stated, but also from a community aspect of supporting our residents to access to fresh produce that is otherwise just not really available in that manner. And so I think that would be supporting our community in a great way.
One thing, is it Thursdays that the Air Stage does that community event so I don't know if Wednesday is the best day, it's probably fine. But it'd be kind of cool to, we're trying to get all the locals in town for that day. anyway.
One of the challenges on Wednesday is the race, the running and the riding race series. So yeah, looking at scheduling because I love the concept of like, if this turns into, hey, locals just come into town on whatever night it is, like that would be magical.
Do all this stuff, yeah.
I'll mention that to Matt and see if there's any flexibility with the farm. I mean, really, what I've found in the past for a few efforts, we've taken a few runs at this over the years, and it's about the farmers, what works for them,
Sure.
you know, to be honest, so. But, yeah, I mean, I'll reach out to Matt tomorrow and, let him bounce that around. So.
Terrific. That's exciting.
Second one I've got, I got a call from a longtime a person who's been around, a realtor, who mentioned that at the south end of town, Park and Main intersection particularly, we're starting to see a lot of stickers and some graffiti and such on those stoplight poles. And I don't walk by there as much as I used to, so I hadn't noticed, but I did make it a point to walk over and look, and she's right. I mean, I'm just concerned that it starts there and all of a sudden all our poles are tagged with, and so I don't know, staff can talk about it and see what they think. So they got it. Those are my two.
Anything else? Well, I just wanted to mention again that we're trying to get away from the coffee talk style where no one comes. Just be honest about that. So if there's something that you think any of us should go to, or that I specifically should go to, a meeting that's already happening where we can either piggyback on the front end or the, stay a little bit after, but I just would like to keep making those contacts that feel a bit more genuine. And I think, the public would rather attend because they're already there. So let me know. And also I did want to congratulate the town on the fireworks. I mean, it's been an overwhelmingly positive response, which is really cool because it could have been more contentious, and it seems like it's been really positive. So well done to all those involved.
Scott and Peyton did the lion's share of work on that, and Keely brought it across the finish line, so.
Well, good job, all of you.
Well, it's great. It's a partnership with the ski area. It's, through the torchlight, it's kind of all centered. It just feels like good partnership with them, just great to do.
Agreed. Okay, anything else? Review your scheduled meetings. Happy 2025, everyone. Meeting adjourned.